Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Let's Talk About It. Today, I'm real excited. We have Shannon Martin. Now, some of you guys may recognize her name because she works on our team, but more importantly, I wanted to have her on here because she's also the founder of Hello Wellness, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what that is and how you guys can learn more about it. But one of the reasons why I wanted to have Shannon on here today is because she's talking about a topic that I find is being talked about more in the media, but at the same token, it's not being talked about enough, and how people are dealing with mental health and different related situations as they're growing and building a business and managing life and all those different things. And so I've always been inspired by how brave she's been to be able to be so open about things that she's gone through personally with it. And now she's going to be stepping even further into it and sharing more today, but also she's created a company around this very thing, which I think is so needed. It's no longer a hidden, secretive thing that people have to be ashamed of. It's something that people are really dealing with in real life and need the extra conversations. So I'm excited to have you here today, Shannon. So welcome to Let's Talk About It.
Hey, how you doing? I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you for
Good,
having
good.
me.
Of course. So I always like to ask people first before we jump into everything. Tell us a little bit about you and why you're choosing this type of platform to step into business-wise.
Okay, well, as everyone knows, I'm Shannon Martin, and I
Mhm.
live in Atlanta, Georgia, with my husband and my three kids. And we were ex-military family, so this is where we decided to I guess just stay for a while. It kind of grew on us, so we decided to stay. And the reason why I decided to do this is because like I talked about, is that I was diagnosed in 2013 with moderate depression and generalized anxiety and panic disorder. And at the time, I didn't know really what that was and what that meant
Mhm.
to me in the long run. I just thought it was just something that was just simple. It was going to go away. That I can just easily handle it real easy and just continue to live my life. But I was wrong. And so when I think about it back then, I think about it now, how far I've come. I just said, you know what, this is something that I really want to create something around, because I don't think people know that they know that they exist, but like you said, they don't talk about it. And
Mhm.
that when I started to talk to people like in band or other types of events that my kids did, I found out that a lot of more people really suffer from depression or anxiety, that more than we know, but
Yeah.
no one knew. So
Mhm.
I said, you know what, I would like to create something around this so that it can help women at least talk about it, have a community. Nothing that's going to stop them from doing what they're doing. Like if they're having therapy or if they're doing whatever they're doing to make themselves go every day. But
Mhm.
just a little something every day, quarterly, just to have something, just to keep them going on the wellness journey.
Right. So let me ask you this, Shannon. What made you afraid originally to step into the space and to talk about it?
I was so afraid, to be honest with you. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid that, of course, there's this huge stigma that's around it. That when I first told my mom about it, the, the way she took it was that, oh, okay, so you're crazy now. So you have
Mhm.
this issue. Well, why can't you just pray it away? You're not praying hard enough. You're not doing these things. And I really thought it was me, that it was really something wrong with me, that I
Mhm.
wasn't doing, I wasn't a good Christian. I wasn't a good, strong woman. So I just said, oh, God, what am I doing wrong? So I kept it to myself because I was so afraid. And then I just sat down with myself and I prayed to God and I asked him, I said, what do I need to do? Because I need help, but I don't know what to do because everyone's telling me what I'm doing wrong. So what do I need to do right?
Mhm.
And the answer came that you need to get help.
Mhm.
It's time. And so after years of that, I decided to, when I started to manage a lot better, another conversation with God was, I need to talk about it. and I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah. I love that you are, because, I've always had clients that would talk to me about their different struggles privately, and
Mhm.
they didn't want the stigma that people would call them crazy, or
Mhm.
feel like I couldn't trust them to help me with my business, or whatever it might be. They were so afraid of the stigma around it, but it also
Mhm.
kind of created this, lack of a better way of describing it, a double personality, if you will, because they had this
Mhm.
private struggle, but they had this public persona. And so it was
Exactly.
creating a little bit of that struggle too in itself. So when you got to the place where you were like, okay, I'm ready to share more about this, I'm ready to get out there, what are some of the steps that you took? And the reason why I'm asking that is because if someone's saying, do I just go out there and just put out there? Or is it something that I need to prepare myself for? What are things you did to prepare for it?
Absolutely. One thing you have to ask yourself, which is you have to ask yourself how transparent you want to be.
Mhm,
Because my son asked me that question when I started this. He said, "How transparent do you want to be, mom?" And
mhm.
it hit me like, "Ooh, that's something I didn't think about."
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself that question. And once you realize, I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna go with my gut. I'm just gonna go decide it as I go along. And two, once you begin to talk about it, just be comfortable in talking about it, and saying that yes, own that what you went through, because
Mhm,
you went through a lot. Your body went through a lot. Your mind went through a lot. You're still rebuilding yourself because you kind of came apart,
mhm.
and now you're putting yourself back together. So own that.
Yeah.
And once you start talking about it, let them know, yes, I did. Yes, I am having this issue, but I'm capable of doing my job. I'm capable of doing this. And three, when you do start letting everyone know, let them know that I can still do my business, that
Mhm.
I have things in place for when I have a bad day, that
Yeah.
I have something that I have other things set up so that it can help me get through the day. Or I've
Mhm.
done enough through, like say, I've set up enough, like say videos or whatever you have done, so that
Mhm.
you can, whenever you're having a bad day, you have backup,
Yeah.
so that you can still do your job. So it's not like you're letting your clients down. You can still do what you need to do.
Yeah.
So those are things I had to really think about, because I had thought about stopping myself,
Mhm.
and I said no. What do I need to do the things? And that's what I said I needed. So
I love that. I love
yeah.
that. No, no, I love that. In moments when you felt like stopping, what did you do to get yourself out of that spin? Because um and again, to preface the question, because I know whether you have mental health battles or not, we all get into those moments where you
Right.
just kind of feel like, oh my gosh. And so and I've heard different things, from different people, but we all get to that place. And I know that if you have different added struggles on top of that, that can also be a little bit more overwhelming, if you will. So
Right.
for you, when those moments come up where you're doubting, you're feeling frustrated, what do you do in those moments?
I pause. I
Hmm.
pause because I think you need to pause, especially
Yeah.
when you have so many things going around, the hamster wheels going, and you just need to take a break. I'm
Yeah.
not saying stop, just take a little pause, and
Hmm.
if you decide, have your conversations with yourself, with God or whatever it is you do,
Yeah.
and if you need to pivot, then
Hmm.
pivot, and realize that it's okay.
Yeah.
That I took that little break, the little week or two, maybe a month or whatever it is. Just take some time to get back to
Hmm.
yourself, to really understand what direction you want to go in, and then ask yourself what happened to make you have to pause,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
when you reach that again, you know how to deal with it. It's all about seeing it, because what really probably happened is you had a trigger, something
Yeah.
triggered it to stop you from doing that.
Hmm.
So what was the trigger? So when I see it coming again, I know how to handle that.
Yeah. I love that. So let me ask you this, switching gears just a little bit,
Uh,
because and I know you and I can talk very honestly. When
Yeah.
it comes to talking about subjects like this, most people will feel like sad, depressed, or feel like, oh, okay, this is a heavy subject. Don't know if I want to be around it because it
Right,
reminds them of
right.
this or the other. But you've always been very like more sunshine. And what I mean by that is that, not saying you're not honest and real about the days that you have a hard day, but you also approach life very positively, and you put a lot of positivity out there. So walk me through a little bit about that when someone feels like, if I get this box, Hello Wellness, if I get something that you're doing, um, is it going to be down, drab? Is it going to be, heavy? Is it going to be these different things? Because I know that's often sadly attached to something that I think is such an important topic that people need to talk about it, but you approach it differently. So I wanted you to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I get that a lot. A lot of people say, "Are you sure you're depressed?" Because you sure positive? Like absolutely positive. I have some days, but
Yeah.
um, I've always been told that I'm a bubbly person, so I really want my box to be that, a part bubbly, quirky, kind of
Hmm.
a little colorful, if you
Yeah.
will, with like themes for each season, because it's going to be a quarterly box. So I
Hmm.
wanted to do something like that, and the way I want to do it is it's going to be around uh, some pillars, 4 pillars that I think that are helping me along.
Okay.
So each it will be themed towards that, but I want to have color,
Yeah.
a little fun, you know, be able to laugh about it because
Yeah.
sometimes you need to laugh about being depressed because sometimes you're like, woo hoo hoo, I need to
Yeah.
laugh, and just take a different approach to it. We're also learning about it, learning
Hmm.
about what happened because when I start to really research, I think because it's going on 9 years now since I've been diagnosed. When I really started learning about it, I was like, "Ooh, I didn't know all of this was a part of that." So it's gonna
Yeah.
be a little part of lifestyle, a little part of fun, a little part, a little jokey joke, but a
Yeah.
little serious as well because I don't want it to be so daunting, like you said.
Yeah. I
Because
love
that's
that.
what it's kind of like. It's depressing.
Yeah.
Tell me about depression. It's depressing. Tell me about all that
but
stuff.
but I love that you're going to bring some life to it too, because I do think there's the other side of the conversation that we don't always talk about. We
Right.
talk about what leads us to that place, or talk about those struggles, but the other side of it is, how are you living with it in a very healthy way, in a way that is very progressive and moving forward, and you do that very, very well. Talk to me a little bit about how you've been able to build a good support structure, because I know you have a great support structure around you, and not everybody does when it comes to this area. So what have
And
you done?
the crazy thing, Kim, is that um it just happened. It
Hmm.
really did. Once I really understood where my mother was coming from, because the time she was raised, this
Right.
was not an issue. This was like you better go to church, like you
Yep.
go lay down. They didn't have time to have a nervous breakdown or anything like that.
Right. Right.
So once I understood where she was coming from and how she viewed it, I was okay with it.
Hmm.
My husband on the side, he really wanted to help me, but he just didn't know how.
Hmm.
But my children, those 3 little boogers, that I
Yeah.
call them my man babies, my woman baby,
Yeah.
they've been the ones who've been researching what mom has said to me.
Mm.
So, they were the ones that really just started to tell me little things, and like, it was just out of the blue, like, Mom, I'm just so proud of you that you got up today. You're driving me to work. Um, I went to my mother-in-law's dinner, and she's like, you actually got dressed and came down and you drove downtown. I don't
Yeah.
like downtown, and they started just telling me, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Mm.
My son would send me little he would send me like little apps so that I can track what I'm eating. My daughter would send me
Okay.
like a little app about encouragement. So they have been my support system, and then I had started having a circle of sisters that I didn't even know that they were dealing with it
Yeah.
as well. And I just started talking to them about it, and they have really been there. Girl, we know you're going through it. We know it. We're praying for you.
Mhm.
We're there for you if you need to talk
Yeah.
here. I'm here for you. And it just happened just by itself. It's truly a
Okay.
blessing.
See, I wrote little notes of what you said, because I want to make sure no one misses what you said, because I know for you, it's what you've been living it, right? But what I'm hearing is something a little different. Like when you mentioned about your mother and how she was raised in a certain time, I translate that to that people have to also give a little grace to people that may not fully understand what it is you're walking through. Because if you're not battling it, they're going to have a different level of understanding and connection to it. So giving grace to that, as long as that person is willing to learn and also be a part of your life, which I know you and your mom have done a lot of work in that space. I love when you mentioned about your kids with the apps to eating and encouragement, and I think that's something people can also translate to. Do you have people in your life that are encouraging? Do you have people that are willing to not feel like you're being heavy when you're having a rough season? So I think part of a good tribe member is someone that's going to be very encouraging. And then I also like here too, the research, and having a better understanding. So it's like you have different types of people around you that, you've had to show grace to, those who are ready to jump in, those who've been encouraging, but you've built it out because you're being transparent and open. So what I wrote down here too was, the value of transparency also can create an even understanding with someone else. Like you said, you didn't know they were dealing with it. So it created another tribe.
It really did.
Yeah.
I never never put those pieces together like that. That's exactly what happened.
And the reason why I asked you that, because I know you have a good system, and I know for you it's like it's kind of happened, but at the same token, I think the more you've been coming out, I think the more conversations you're having with people and people are reaching out. And I think transparency also lets people feel like, oh my God, someone else understands, and that immediately creates a bond. So I think that's something definitely worth sharing. Yeah,
it is, and it has been really great. And my sister friends and sisters, they're like, wow, really?
Yeah.
But they already know, so they're like, what? There's nothing new to us. We already knew that.
So let me ask you this. So do you have any like routines or something that you do because you've been on a really great, like I said, trajectory of this growing and pushing yourself. Do you have things that you have to do routinely to kind of arm yourself to keep moving forward?
Absolutely, I do. I have to, oh, goodness gracious. I have to really, really just stay mindful and stay in the space where I guess I'm cognizant of what I'm thinking, because my mind, I'm a person that I realize that I stay in my mind a lot.
Okay.
So I have to make sure that it's a positive mental space, right? So that whatever space that I'm in, I have to make sure it is positive. And that being mindful is really a thing. I have to journal whenever it gets to be too heavy, because some days it's so heavy and it's so thick in there that I have to really get it out of my head on paper and just say, okay, it's gone. I do pray a lot. I pray throughout the day. I do, whenever I feel anxious and I feel like I'm about to have an anxiety attack, I do my deep breathing techniques. You breathe in, breathe out to keep myself calm, because I never know when they pop up anywhere. So I never know what's going to happen. And I stay hydrated, because I also too, for some reason that gets me anxious. I keep water by me all the time. That's why you see me when I came down to visit. I have water. I keep water by me because I have to stay hydrated. And so it's little things like that that really kind of those little techniques like that kind of keep me going. And I'm learning I'm working on doing meditation. Supposed to be meditating. That's one thing that's escaping me is meditating. It's just trying to sit there and really just sit and be in my space of time. But that is one thing I'm working on. But those are the main things I do now to kind of keep myself running. And I'm working on sleeping better. Because when you have all your mind racing and everything, it's funny because you're tired, but when you're tired, you can't sleep.
Right.
And it's just the craziest thing. And I just keep telling my doctor's like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I can't sleep, but I'm tired.
Yeah.
But I can't sleep. So, but the other things have been really working for me. So, but I still have a little work to go, but help keep me going. So I'm just really thankful for that work.
Okay, I again love what you're saying. And I promise I don't always like sum up people's things, but I do know that this is an area that it's just so needed. And so the three things that I know that you said that I really love the most is I love everything you're saying, but these things stood out was how you protecting your mindset. You protect it. And I think that's something we all can do, whether you're battling with it or not. But I think more so when you are having different mental health things, you feed your mind things that are positive. You feed your mind things that will keep you moving forward. And I love that you recognize your triggers, like you mentioned about the wellness and the water, which I would never have thought about at all. And then the other thing I like about the environment, and I don't know if you realize it, but you mentioned different sets of environments that you create around yourself, which I hope in your box and things that you explore more, because you create an environment of rest and what that is defined as for you. You create an environment for like your creativity, making sure that you have a good space to kind of grow and challenge yourself and build. And so I think that's a really cool environment. And then you create an environment of calm, like what calms you down. And I think, looking at the different environments that you create, I know you may not say it in this exact way, but you've been sharing this. But the way you've been sharing it, that's what I'm thinking, that, when you're dealing with whatever the issue is, I know mental health is such a broad term, but I do think creating different environments that work for you is so key. So I love that you share those different things.
It is key, and it takes time to really realize what works for you, because what works for someone else may not work for you at all. And it's all about getting your own, I guess I don't even want to say a plan, but just working with your own, because I don't like saying a plan, just seeing what works for you.
Yeah.
And then and just sticking with it and just add new things as you go along, because you don't want to get overwhelmed with stuff. And that's what I did at first. I got so overwhelmed with the app, I wanted to throw my phone, and I'm not using it anymore. I'm tired of it. So my son said, "No, you're fine. Just stop. That's just anxiety talking. Just stop.
Yes.
You're doing great." Really.
Oh, I love that. I love how your kids are so encouraging to you. I do. I love that.
They are, because they really saw me, at a bad time, and they did an intervention. It was so funny. But they came in there with their cell phones, came at the foot of the bed. "Okay, so this is what happened. You slept this day and this day and this day." And they really stepped in. And so they have been like my little pioneers, just kind of like, keeping me going. So it's just funny that they do that.
No, I love that they do that, because I mean, it shows how invested they are in you and your growth, and how much they love you more than anything, just how much they really love you. So I love that.
They're looking, they're paying attention. You think kids aren't looking and paying attention? They really are. They really
I love that. So do you have any closing thoughts or anything you want to share around this topic, about your box, or anything that you want to leave with those that are listening about this topic?
Let me see. I want to say that if you are or you think that you have any of the symptoms, which this is such a broad way of symptoms, and all of them, you may not be depressed, something like that. But if you are feeling tired, like you don't want to do anything, you just want to be by yourself, and some of those things can be introvert. They can be many things. But if you feel like, if you know someone that is dealing with this, please know that it is okay. But if you're getting to a point that you feel like you are unraveling, which what I mean by that is that you're on that wheel in your mind and in your space, that you just can't take this anymore. Please go get some help. And if you really need to, you're afraid of the stigmatism, if you're afraid of you don't want to be on medication, if you're afraid of doctors, what have you, really take time and go into yourself and ask yourself, what is it that you really need? And I promise you're going to get the answer that you need, because I got that. And I want you to be here tomorrow, because this can be an issue where you won't be here tomorrow if you let it escape you. So that is something I really want people to know, that this is nothing that you can just get over. This is not something that, yes, prayer does help, because God can move mountains, He can do amazing things. But God has also made things out there for others to use. So let's just do the work that we need to do for us. And that works for us. So that's what I want people to do.
Awesome. Thank you. Where can they learn more about you?
Okay. I am on social media, and
Mhm.
I am under all of Hello Wellness Box on all platforms, social media, and I'm working on my website. It's coming up soon. It's also hellowellnessbox.com,
Okay.
and Shannon D Martin on everything else. So
Awesome. Well, we're going to put all of her handles and everything on the description. And I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you being
so much.
so open. And thank you for joining us for our Let's Talk About It.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.